When it comes to keeping track of our health, many of us are using wearable devices or special apps to monitor our well-being. Not all of them are created the same. Tim Daniels is the executive chairman of AI/ML Innovations, the parent company of Health Gauge. Yes, it's Health Week on the Humble and Fred Show. It's a monitoring system that hopes to make overburdened healthcare systems more efficient and cost-effective. Brought to you by Bullseye Corporation, our friend Crystal. Targeted communications for public companies is Bullseye Corporate. And welcome back to the program, my long-lost friend from Moose Jaw, who now lives in Italy. It's Tim Daniels. Can you turn your camera on? I can't see your face.
Hey, guys. How you doing? I was wondering about that myself. Let me...
Just click on the little video icon. There you go. Look at you.
How are you guys today?
I'm all right, kid. I lived on Henry Street in Moose Jaw, which Fred has been. He's seen my old house there, 1047. What street did you live on?
Brown Street.
Which is it the next one north of me?
Yeah, a couple streets over. Actually, on the other side of Palliser. On the other side.
Oh, I see. You were near the old school. Yeah, and now exactly. Freddie Tim's living the life in Italy. He hangs out there, you know.
Well, Tim, we talked to somebody from Florida this morning who said it's pretty much back to normal down in Florida. I mean, they've had good vaccine distribution. We talked to somebody in Westchester, New York, near Connecticut. He said basically almost back to normal. What's it like in Italy? It's not so normal over there right now, is it?
Yeah, well, I got to tell you, I'd almost be upset that we're in the middle of another lockdown if the weather wasn't so unseasonably cold here. So I can't get out and do my bike rides and runs anyway. So I guess that's okay. No, we are in the middle of another lockdown. The vaccine rollout here has been spotty at best. They've done an okay job taking care of the health service providers, the elderly, but beyond that, it's been sketchy. And the latest I heard was that we could be well into 2022 before the bulk of us are getting the shots in our arm. So we'll see.
Canada.
Well, let's talk a little bit about health. Then I don't know if in some of our conversations away from the show, I'm not sure if I mentioned to you, but about a year ago, I'd had a cardiac ablation. And I had a bit of a tachycardia issue, but I'd never really been concerned up until then about things like blood pressure and monitoring sort of. And when you and I first started talking about this gauge, the health gauge that you have, this sort of wearable device, I instantly thought, I thought it was going to be perfect for our audience because a lot of guys in our age group are starting to be more concerned about things like blood pressure and things like keeping track of your heart and all that. So let's just get right into the health gauge. What is it? How does it work? And what does it do?
Okay, I'd love to do it. So what we have is a patent pen complete digital health solution in the wearable tech space. Now, that's a mouthful, but think smartwatch, but don't think smartwatch. It's because this is a whole bunch more. It's actually a 3-part solution. Yes, there is the wearable piece. I know you guys can see this right here. I guess.
Yeah, it looks cool, man.
So you have the wearable piece, but we're actually agnostic to that because all that is for us is a way to aggregate data, and that's what we're really after is the biosensor data that then goes into our AI-powered software that you can see on your phone app as a user or a cloud-based platform if you want the full meal deal that involves your whole healthcare food chain. So your doctors, your nurses, your therapists, pharmacists, and so on all have access to all your vital statistics through our cloud-based platform. And this is all AI and machine learning driven. And so it's a complete end-to-end health solution that really helps to improve your health by providing very powerful and immediate feedback that you need in order to make better and immediate health choices. Howard, you clicked on a good point a minute ago where we tend to worry about our health when something goes wrong. But what we find out as a society is that the cost of waiting until there's a problem, in other words, looking at health from the treatment side as opposed to the prevention side, is a real costly and burdensome and painful way to look at our medical system, and that's been part of our problem. And so a solution like ours helps preempt that, helps to give that data so that you can make the decisions before the problems begin or before those problems get too serious.
So it's not like when you first started talking to me about it, and it's a pretty cool looking watch, but at first I think I got mixed up. I thought it's not like a Fitbit. It's not just that. It's actually sharing the AI ML. The ML is machine learning. Is actually it's sending that information to a database that you can then share with your health providers so that you have a record of what's going on with you health-wise for everyone to see.
Yeah, exactly right. There are a lot of wearables out there right now. Most of them, though, tend to be, either a smartwatch with some sort of health component or an activity-based watch, not really a health watch. I mean, for example, walk into your Apple store and say, hey, that's a cool-looking Apple Watch. I'll take one. Oh, by the way, how do I aggregate the data and get it over to my doctor and pharmacist? And the 18-year-old Apple salesman will stare at you for a minute like a sphinx, and then they'll say, would you like an iPad to go with that, sir?
That's right.
It's a retail product. They're just trying to sell you something. And it's not a health or medical device, whereas the whole focus of what we do is to put the health metrics right onto your wrist, all the key vital signs. So, when you go in to see your doctor, the first 15 minutes or so of every visit are spent checking your vital signs, measuring your blood pressure and your heart rate variability and your temperature and all these basic statistics that are actually, very key to understanding, your starting point in dealing with a health problem. Imagine rather than, a once a year doctor's visit giving you that data, as compared to a device like this, which is giving it to you live time, 24/7, as you're exercising, as you're sleeping, as you're stressed, as you're hot or cold or whatever. And so you're actually aggregating far more meaningful data than what's being provided in that once a year hospital.
Well, exactly. I mean, you walk in there on the one day and he takes all those, your vital signs, whatever.
Yeah.
And this obviously has a tracking where they can look at it and say, wow, over the last 2 or 3 months, here's the way you're trending.
Mm-hmm. Because absolutely.
A one-off on just one day, it's not necessarily a State of the Union, so to speak.
Right.
Yeah, you bet. You're dead on with that, Fred. And I give you, a personal example where, fortunately for me, my blood pressure, tends to be just bang on about 110/70 without fail. Except when I went for my checkup a few years back, and there was, when I look back, there was some extenuating circumstance around it. I had just gotten off the 2 hours on the squash court. It was a hot day. I had all this business stress on me. I quickly ran into my doctor's office for my checkup. Doctor takes my blood pressure and says, oh, we got to get you on some medicine. Your blood pressure's through the roof. I said, wait a minute, time out. There's a problem here because I don't have a blood pressure problem. And there you go. That's the problem with this, once in a year, type of snapshot of your health. Or even, comparing, let's say, to, buying the London Drugs health cuffs that you use once or twice and then throw it up into your top shelf of your closet and you never pull it out again. The difference is that, number one, these are far more accurate. In fact, some studies that have been done recently comparing our device with that retail blood pressure cuff that you get from London Drugs and so on and so forth. They tend to have a plus minus accuracy rate or error rate of about 9%, meaning whatever the measurement is, it can be, on any given day, it can be off by about 9%. When they compare that to our device, ours tends to be have a plus minus accuracy error rate of about 4%. So it's far more accurate, number one. Number two, it's automated. So again, it's measuring your blood pressure while you're asleep, while you're exercising, while you're working or whatever, as opposed to having to make that conscious effort to, pull that machine out of the closet and change the batteries
and you're not conscious of it because I suffered a bit from white coat syndrome. They go to take your blood pressure and you get all tensed up because you so want it to be good.
Exactly.
That you freak yourself out. When you have a monitor such as yours, it becomes unconscious, so you're not thinking about it, so it's giving a more accurate reading of all those things.
You bet.
And I was going to say, Timmy, let's let me interject again. Like after my heart surgery over the last year, I've had to go back every few months and have to wear a monitor. They call it a Holter monitor. Right. And I've had to wear that for a couple of days, and even that, I'm not sure. Like in those days, was I exercising? Was I being stressed out? With the health gauge, that information is going to be happening around the clock all the time you're wearing it. Exactly. One of the things in the notes here I'm kind of curious about is that, overburdening of the healthcare system. One of the things that Health Gauge is claiming to do, and we can talk about it, is reducing the cost of infrastructure for healthcare. How is it doing that?
Well, in two basic ways. One is helping, the wearers, people like you and I, catch problems while they're smaller or before there's problems, as opposed to, in other words, prevention versus treatment, because the cost is so much smaller, right? Give you a real life example. A good friend of mine that I play squash with, one evening after finishing our squash match, went home and he had, kind of this tightness in his chest. And felt as a precaution, maybe I should head over to the emergency room. This is down in Florida, where healthcare costs are extraordinarily high. And long story short, was that he spent overnight in observation in the hospital, just to be safe. Well, if he didn't have a heart attack beforehand, which he didn't, thank goodness, he sure did after seeing the bill. Now he has good insurance, so it didn't come out of his pocket. But the bill for this overnight stay in emergency care amounted to over $100,000. Can you imagine that?
Oh, I can.
As opposed to a wearable like this, which is giving data back that is every bit as clean and actionable, meaning we're aggregating ECGs just like they would do, as you're laying in the emergency room with the equipment, strapped to your chest. We're providing that ECG. We're providing the PPG and the heart rate variability and the blood pressure and all these other vital statistics. But of course, doing it for the price of this unit as opposed to this $100,000 medical bill. Well, but also, if there is that problem, and you're able to make those adjustments, those changes to your activity level, to your lifestyle, how much you're eating, drinking, smoking, and so on, before it becomes a big problem. Well, we're giving that feedback. But the other way that we're saving the healthcare system the money is on the other side of the ledger, and that's with respect to the medical community itself. So imagine that the doctors right now in the conventional brick and mortar system, there's only so many patients that they can see in a day, and over the last year, how do they do that safely? I mean, from the doctor's perspective, how is it done safely, let alone from the patient's perspective? Now using this sort of device from the comfort of my home, sitting in my living room in my underwear, I can basically get the same level of care and attention that normally I would have to go in and visit the doctor. And so the doctors are able to see more patients through the day, and it's all billable now for them. They need less staffing, less nurses around them, less square meters in their office space, less paperwork. And
Timmy, let me just jump in because we're going to run out of time here in a second. Sure. And I just want everyone to know that Health Gauge is what we're talking about. Health Gauge is where we'd like you to go. I know you can tell me in a second, but here's the thing. We're going to have many more conversations about this. As I said to you a few weeks ago when we started talking about it, just you and I, there's a lot of men and women, but a lot of guys would benefit from this because we're traditionally, reticent to take ourselves to the hospital. Yeah. Freddie's got a friend that, felt poorly, went to have a nap and died. Your friend could have just as easily said, I don't want to go to the hospital. And then he had a real problem. The great thing about the Health Gauge, and we're going to find out more about this as time goes by, is that, as you can tell, it gives you this information. Yeah. It stores it. Your healthcare providers have access to it, and it gives you more than just a snapshot. As Freddie said, we all get a little white coat syndrome. We go in there, we get uptight. Exactly. But quickly before we let you go, because Tim's coming back in the next couple of weeks, we're going to have, and starting Monday, by the way, Health Gauge is going to be a sponsor of this program. It's the whole Moose Jaw thing. By the way, that guy right next to you, Tim, is Dan Duran. Dan, say hi to Tim.
Hey, Dan.
Tim, good morning.
Dan lived on Hochelaga Street in Moose Jaw.
Get out of here.
When we worked at CHAB together. That's a Hochelaga boy.
759.
I had cousins on Hochelaga.
Of course you did. Dan Duran's room. Here's the thing. When I first met Dan Duran, his room, like all it was clothes and booze and porn, like those Hochelaga kids. But before we get to Dan, Timmy, I don't want to wrap up before we. First of all, where do people go for more information? What's the site?
Sure. Okay. So the Health Gauge site is real simple. It's www.healthgauge.com. If they want one of our units, click on products. You can see the different product configurations and service plans that are available for purchase. And alternatively, if you're looking for information on our parent company, which is AIML Innovations, the website is www.aiml-innovations.com.
Well, it is fascinating. And when we first met you, or I re-met you a month ago, it was all about mining. But this Health Gauge, and, Freddie will tell you, there's a lot of guys listening that are going to want this because it's information that can not only, help your everyday health, but can help you maybe avoid some, major thing that is inevitably waiting for all of us.
Yeah, that's a real positive note.
That's right. It's coming for all of us, Tim. Well, listen, man, I tell you what, I'm going to give you a shout in about 25 minutes. We're going to have another Moose Jaw catch up. Once again, Health Gauge, the website, forget the WW, it's just healthgauge.com.
.com, you got it.
All right. I'll talk to you in a minute or two. Thanks, Timmy.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, guys. It was a pleasure.
All right, there you go. And it's funny. I forgot that, Tim, the Hochelaga would have been, it's the East End. We weren't East End guys in Moose Jaw. East End guys in Moose Jaw. East End guys in Moose Jaw.